Elizabeth, Robin, all the Team Dole members here, Governor Kelly, Leader McConnell, Secretary Chow, all my fellow senators and Congress members and our spouses, people of Russell, Kansas. Much is grown here on Kansas plains. Crops and pastures stretch as far as the eye can see. Grain elevators replace city skyscrapers, sirens, and traffic. What truly makes the prairie special, however, is the people. Kindness and resilience define Kansans. Churches that seem entirely too big for the tiny towns they tower over are filled on Sunday. And neighbors are checking in on each other, sharing food, laughs, a cup of coffee, and maybe a few beers. Perhaps this is why Senator Dole reminded me every time I saw him, Roger, always remember where you're from. I thought a lot about that this week, and it's clear that he never lost sight of his values that were forged here in a 3-room house, not a 3-bedroom house, a 3-room house on Maple Street in Russell, Kansas. And he never forgot the people who shaped his life. This week, we Kansans, especially this community of Russell, lost a great friend and neighbor. Senator Bob Dole, a personification of the gentle toughness cultivated in the rural Midwest, an advocate for the disabled, the hungry, our veterans, and our American way of life, a genuine, once-in-a-generation American hero, has been called home. It was to these same plains that a young Robert Dole returned from war, critically wounded, where the people of his beloved city, Russell, chipped in. $800 in nickels and dimes and quarters, to be exact, into a cigar box on the corner of Dawson's drugstore, where a young Bob Dole once worked as a soda jerk. The funds were used to help offset the cost of his recovery. It's no wonder this hero from our greatest generation always remembered where he came from. As we all know, it was a grueling recovery. He was once a strapping, muscular, 3-sport Russell High School and KU Jayhawk athlete. But Dole was now paralyzed and his weight had dropped to 122 pounds. All the while, through 3 years in a hospital. I don't know any person that ever recovered from 3 years in a hospital and years more of rehab. All the while, he listened to his new favorite song and source of inspiration, so eloquently sang by Lee Greenwood yesterday, "You'll Never Walk Alone." And I quote from that Rodgers and Hammerstein classic, "Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone." With the people of Russell, Kansas supporting him every step of the way, and upon return to his hometown, Bob Dole never walked alone. And I'm reminded of a story told me by a Norton, Kansas newspaper legend, Dick Boyd. Dick was the father of my pledged son, Larry Boyd, and Dick told us this story one evening. You may recall it. Uncle Huck was driving through Russell, Kansas, and he saw a light on in the county courthouse late one night. And he journeyed into that courthouse and found a young Bob Dole at work. And after he met him, he came out and proclaimed, this young man could be president someday. Huck Boyd was a great prognosticator. Americans know Bob Dole's record of public service, whether it was passing the Reagan agenda through the Senate, saving Social Security from bankruptcy, fighting hunger in the United States and abroad, the Americans with Disabilities Act, his work for veterans that includes the construction of the World War II Memorial, and so much more. Americans know of his time at the helm of the Republican National Committee, the U.S. Senate, and the party's presidential ticket. And of course, as it's been documented today in 2014, many of us recall when Bob Dole went and visited all 105 Kansas counties to simply say thank you for the life they'd given him. And people, again, as has been noted today, know that Bob Dole spent most Saturdays of the past decade quietly on the south side of the World War II Memorial to greet and thank veteran honor flights as they visited. And all this he did with such humility, charm, and wit that made him so likable, so effective, and so much a Kansan. And we can all recall the days that followed his famous salute of President George H.W. Bush's casket in the Capitol Rotunda, a moment that inspired and captivated the world, when he, with the help of his caretaker and fellow veteran Nate, stood up from his wheelchair and showed his reverence for his once rival and friend. He, of course, didn't understand what the big deal was. He just wanted to honor a fellow veteran and public servant. It was just a reflex for him to show that respect, and his humility in its wake was his classic style. I'm personally so grateful for the blessing of each moment I got to spend with Senator Dole, and I can't express what I'd give for another one of those moments. And I know this is true, of course, for his wife, our friend Senator Elizabeth, and his steadfast supporter and advocate, his daughter Robin. Elizabeth, God has given you the gift of hospitality, of great faith and grace. Bob Dole was fortunate to have you stand beside him for 46 years. This nation is grateful. We were so blessed by your presence. And Robin, your dad was always so proud of you. Every time I would ask him how the family was doing, he would say, well, Robin and JoJo are doing fine. And your remarks yesterday were truly from the heart, and we're so grateful. And I got to share a quick story that I haven't shared with the family yet, but I got to visit with Senator Dole at home maybe 6 weeks ago. I didn't think it was going to be my last visit, but it turned out to be that way. And we went up to his office, and he had on a bunch of Kansas City Chiefs stuff on. We got to go to the Super Bowl together and watch the Chiefs' victory, and there was a lot of crimson and blue in the room, as you could imagine, and maybe a Jayhawk. And we got down to talking about family, and he mentioned your dog JoJo. And I said, JoJo. I knew his name, his middle name was Joseph. And I said, oh, it was so kind of you to name your dog after a KU basketball player. JoJo White was a great KU basketball player, led the Americans to the U.S. gold medal in the Olympics in 1960, another great year. And again, I just want to mention the staff, Pia, Marion, Mo, Ruth Ann, and so many more, truly like family to the Doles. You knew that right away. When Lane and I would go to the Dole house, we knew that everyone that ever worked for him was family. Scores of friends from all ages, walks of life, and of course all those right here in Russell, Kansas. We'll all miss Bob Dole. But now his incredible work here is done, and I'm going to miss my friend. Most every day as I walk the halls of the Capitol or amongst my fellow Kansans here in our great state, I recognize, as Jerry said, the boots we wear are very large. But much like he taught me to never forget where I came from, he left me with some great advice on how to fill those boots. And the first lunch I had after becoming a senator with Senator Dole, facing a tough vote the next day, I prepared myself hours and hours to present the issue to Senator Bob Dole, former majority leader of the Senate. And before I could even get the words out of my mouth, Senator Dole looked at me and said, Roger, just go back to Kansas. The people of Kansas will tell you the answer to all your tough votes. While Senator Dole is gone, the lessons we can all learn from his life will be lived out and passed on. Certainly, his spirit, a spirit of patriotism, hope, honor, loyalty, respect, service, and a genuine kindness and concern for others will never fade. Like many of you, one of the best days of my time in Congress was spent watching Senator Dole receive the Congressional Gold Medal in 2018 in our nation's Capitol Rotunda. I was so proud to be a Kansan. I was so proud as the President read about Bob Dole, and I stuck out my chest, and every member of Congress seemed to turn to me and nod their head, saying, yes, this is what a great leader looks like. For months, his family, friends, and staff watched as he struggled to regain strength after several health setbacks. But much like the wounded Bob Dole of the 1940s, We worried that he may not be able to accept the award in person that he so richly deserved. But Senator Dole had other plans. He miraculously recovered like he had so many times before. And at this marvelous ceremony where he got to hear the gratitude of a nation, the song, "You'll Never Walk Alone," was played. And I was close enough, I could read his lips as they started singing that song. And I could see him mouth the words, "Mr. President, this is my favorite song." And I was close enough that I could hear him softly sing in that familiar baritone voice. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of a storm, there's a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain. Though your dreams be tossed and blown, walk on, walk on. With hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. For so many of us, Kansans, veterans, the poor, the hungry around the world, farmers, the disability community, and more, we never walk alone. While the path forward without Senator Dole, our leading statesmen, will remain difficult each passing day. Elizabeth, Robin, and Team Dole, please know that you'll never walk alone. We Kansans, this community, will be continuing to lift you up in prayer and surround you with love and warmth and friendship, comfort and peace. We thank you, Senator Dole, for walking beside us, always giving us hope. We love you, we miss you, and we thank you. God bless America.